Welcome to the Ascend Your Success podcast. Whether you're just starting out or are a veteran looking to grow your business, you're in the right place. Join us to learn how to achieve financial freedom while working and living life on your own terms. Hear valuable insights, strategies, and interviews with successful entrepreneurs. Get ready to achieve the success you've always dreamed of. Ready? Let's go.
What's going on, guys? My name is Wyatt Reed, and this is the Ascend Your Success podcast. And today I get to interview my friend Juan Sierra, and he's going to be telling us the power of speaking and relaying your message and your purpose, along with talking about the importance of leadership in your business, not just your real estate business, but any business that you got going on, right? So, Juan, thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background.
Yeah, thanks, Wyatt. Thanks for having me on. I know it's a little bit different talking about something that not real estate related, but I am a homeowner, so you can ask me questions as a homeowner if you wanted to. But yeah, my experience and background has been in teaching. I was a teacher for over 10 years, and then I've been a pastor, minister for, oh gosh, probably, over 10 years as well. I've been in the ministry, world for a long time in all sorts of different aspects. Recently, probably the last 4 or 5 years, also been working with a nonprofit. And so I really have a varied kind of like background in speaking. I mean, obviously I've spoken in the classroom, spoken from the pulpit, and then I've done multiple presentations, whether in churches or in different conferences and retreats and settings, both here in the US and in different countries, actually, mostly in Latin America. So it's just, I've gotten a chance to really speak in a lot of different venues, whether it's a small group or a large group. And I guess I'm just kind of like a point in my life where I figured, it's something I feel passionate about, and I'd love to, help other people out. So I started this, this business, Purpose-Driven Talks, to, help people on their speaking journey, to kind of get, from point A to point B, whether there's somebody who's starting out or somebody who's a seasoned speaker. Everybody needs a little bit of help, and it always helps, when you got somebody who has that experience and who's been there and is willing to come alongside you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I have a friend. His name's Joseph. I call him Joe. His last name's ridiculous to say. It's like Giglielli or Jiggly, something like that. I call him Joe.
Joe.
And I remember I was in a workshop one time, and he was sitting beside me, and it was a real estate workshop, and he's a national speaker. I didn't know this at the time, and I was like,
okay,
in these like bright yellow Jordan kicks, like dressed like a skater dude, like whatever. And so anyways, the speaker asked him to come up and say a few words, and I was like, oh crap, this guy's a speaker. And so he was up there, dude, and the way that he like ran the room and just the emotions he made me feel that day was so crazy to me how something so powerful can come from that, and how people can make you feel from stage. And so I obviously got his book. I read it. It was awesome. I actually implemented some of the things that he said in that book to one of my conferences that I have every year. So very, very awesome. It's very important, especially if you're going to be like, even if you're going to do real estate, you need to know how to tell people what you do and show people what you do. And you can even monetize that even more by speaking and sharing about your life and what you've been through, right?
Totally. Recently I was in a business group meeting, and they kind of had this networking event, and they were talking about, just giving your elevator pitch even. And it was surprising really how many people in that room who are business owners had a hard time giving their elevator pitch, and they had to kind of be coached on that. And there's no shame in that, but it just goes to show that like everybody has an expertise in something, whether it's real estate or, some other car business or, any other kind of business. But the ability to get across to someone else, right, what you do and how you can help them is super, essential, right, to grow your business, to grow to your goal of what you're trying to get at. Not everybody, of course, has an opportunity to speak on a stage, but we all, at some point or another, do have opportunities to do some kind of public speaking. In my Facebook group, I even tell people like, okay, could be all sorts of things. Like, for example, right now it's graduation season. and you got to give a toast. Pretty soon it's going to be wedding season, and sometimes people ask you to say something. We're all continually in some form of public speaking. And we get nervous because it brings us outside of our comfort zone. You know, for somebody, let's say, who's a realtor, they're used to talking to one or two clients, right? And they're showing them houses and they can sell them and close them on that. But now you got to, like, you know, deal with a small group or a large room. How do you bridge that barrier and get across that? And like the story you were just mentioning ago, some people just need to go from point A to point B, you know, to do what they need to do. And other people, they really want to grow into the mastery of that. You know, people who are like, you know, the guy you saw at that conference, he's at a mastery level. You know, they don't need any notes. They could just stand up from the cuff, say what they, you know, what's in their mind, and they can command that room. You know, some of that is talent, but a lot of that is also skill as well that can be learned.
Yeah, I mean, he had me raising my hand and repeating stuff after him, and it was like just watching the room, knowing what I know, because I have a lot of speaker friends, and I enjoy watching the room when somebody else like that is speaking and seeing how they can control that room. It's a very, very powerful thing. And if you are like, I kind of want to talk about real estate a little bit in there.
Sure.
But so if you are doing real estate, like putting a networking group together, like doing a monthly meetup, is it can be very beneficial for you to get deals and to network and find private money and things like that. There's power in networking and getting these groups together. And so, like, if let me ask you this: if I was going to hire you
Sure.
as a coach, how's this going to look? What's the structure going to be? What are you going to teach me in order to be a better speaker or put these
Sure.
events together?
Yeah, well, the reason the reason I call the business purpose-driven talks is I believe that it all starts with purpose. And I think there's two things. There's your personal purpose and your professional purpose. A lot of us tend to think, you know, especially in the sense of business, just on our professional purpose. Well, I got to make this sale, or, you know, I got to close this. And so, honestly, sometimes because we're so focused on that, and that's cool, that's okay to be goal driven, but it can cause a lot of anxiety because you don't know your personal goal. Every action that you're trying to do professionally also has a professional sense of like, why am I doing this right now? Why am I the one that needs to do this? Why is it me? And how can I be in this moment? And what am I also trying to accomplish? So answering some of those questions early on will actually help with the rest of the process. You know, the rest of the process has a lot to do more with the mechanics of, you know, delivering a message. A lot of that stuff, you could probably find, or people are out there, but when you're being coached, you know, you get that sense of one-on-one interaction and that sense of like, okay, here's where you need to tweak and here's where you need to improve. To be honest, a lot of people who are already in some kind of sense of public speaking or sales, they think they're good speakers,
Mm.
but they're probably not, in the sense that they need that little bit of help to get them across. You know, they may like, okay, well, I know how to get across. Great, what I need to do, but guess what? You didn't close, right?
Yeah.
You didn't tell people what they need to do afterwards. So it takes that sense of someone like me coming alongside and identifying, you know, where you need. I'm sorry about the dog that's barking in the background. Right at this moment, somebody's dropping off something for Amazon.
It's all good, man. That's all good. Yeah, it's very, very important for sure. So let's fast forward. How do we implement that into our businesses and create better leadership using those methods?
Yeah, so I think one of the things would be partly what you mentioned already is networking and start to create speaking opportunities, right? If you can't, like, you know, not everybody could be like, hey, can you let me speak at this, you know, real estate event? They're not gonna like, who are you that they're gonna let speak? But you can start to, you know, create your own formats, kind of like how what you're doing, you have your own podcast, you have your own show. So a big thing is obviously practice. So once I get you there to figure out some of your purpose, whether it's, you know, professional and personal, then we get into the mechanics of the actual practice of what you need to do to start to develop and create an audience where you start to public speak, and then fine tuning you to get you better, right? Not everybody, of course, has the same issues. some people have issues with the some people don't have any issues with that, but they need to maybe fine tune their content, right? They're not getting across to their audiences like, okay, well, why should I go with you as a realtor? And you're like, oh, but your message is so complicated that you lose them, right? So, a lot of this is you need that feedback, right? You need somebody to speak into your life as a coach to be like, okay, fine tune your message, simplify, get that across. There's a lot of services out there, obviously, where it's like, well, you got to have your nice one sheet, right? That you send that in the mail. Everybody sees you're a realtor. I mean, all that stuff is great, right? You got to generate leads and you got to have that. But when you finally have somebody in front of you, what are you going to say? How are you going to get that message across? So public speaking isn't always just about, being in a large audience or from a stage. It's about how can you most effectively get your message across? And that's where I can help somebody to develop that.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I didn't honestly, I was like sitting there listening to you. Like usually my routine is deep dive into people's businesses and say, well, how are you getting leads and things like that, which we I was trying to figure out how to actually get that in with what you're telling us, but essentially it's the same situation. It's a business like all the rest, right? You
Yeah.
get your purpose, you understand your why. For me, it's the same thing. It's like I thought real estate was going to be my passion, and I was like, man, I don't enjoy doing this stuff. And when I started coaching, I started understanding, oh, that's my passion. Like real
Yeah.
estate is going to be that wealth generating thing that allows me to do my passion, which is helping other people, right? And then from there, you establish your business. How do you find leads? How do you find speaking engagements? If you're not speaking somewhere, then you're not making money, right? So going to networking events, how do we generate leads for speaking? Like I mean, I'm actually some of the things that you're telling me I'm relating to, because obviously we both have the same coach, shout out Tom Kroll, telling me the same things. It's Wyatt, what do you do?
Yeah.
Every single call, the first thing, what do you do? Um, simplify it, make it better, right? Easy,
Sure.
make it easier to understand, make it stand out. And then he's telling me to go and speak at these events. So now I'm trying to find places to go speak and network with people. So how can I simplify that process? Are there things that I can do to find these people and connect with people?
Yeah, I'm on a Facebook group right now, and a guy was just asking a similar question. He's like, he's got a great message that he's passionate about. He has these different Facebook groups, but he's trying to get connected to like speaking engagements, and he can't. Nobody's giving him the time of day. And it's like you can't get frustrated about that. The key is really something that you actually already mentioned, which is networking.
Mm.
Everything is about relationships. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. So that's why it's so important that the more you speak about your message, the more you get across like what is it that you do, and you can convey it clearly and efficiently. You start to network, and people will start to give you those opportunities. Okay, so it's like you want to also seek them. You want to knock on doors and say, hey, this is what I do. I'm Wyatt Reed. I'm in real estate, and you're looking for speakers, and as you create that audience, people are going to give you more time of day. But that networking is essential, because as somebody sees you speak at some event that's smaller, right, then you'll have bigger opportunities open up to you. And sometimes we get like this guy was seeing, you get desperate of like, oh man, that's my ticket. And it's like, no, not necessarily. I mean, we live in a digital age where like people are making tons of money just off YouTube videos. So not everything looks this, like a stage does not look the same as it used to, right? It may be that your stage is, guess what? You're putting out a video every week and people are responding, right? And you're going off of what they're doing, and you're creating that message. So we gotta kind of like let go of that little bit of that anxiety of like, oh man, like how do I find more and more and more? But as you create that audience and do what you need to do, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important also to point out that having a coach is gonna help you like launch, because I know if I wanted to become a professional speaker, a nationwide speaker, I could hire Juan, and Juan's gonna put me in front of people, but Juan's also in another two, three masterminds with other speakers, with other coaches, with other investors, whatever, right? We're in groups of people doing bigger and better than us. And so utilizing your coach, name dropping your coach, like leaning on that coach is going to help launch you way faster than you just trying to go out here and hustle and do it yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, as our coach Tom Kroll says, hustling is a season, right? You don't want to make that your lifestyle. You just want to do it for a period of time and then, get to doing what you really want to do, right?
Right, 100%. So, let's look at what you're doing. So, what you're doing now versus what you were doing when you first started. How have you changed up? Have you changed up? How have you changed up? What are some things that you wish you would have known back then that would help you launch a little bit easier, a little bit better?
Yeah, you mean in the sense of business or just like public speaking in general or
Either or,
either
man.
way?
Tell us all. Give us all the gold.
Yeah. You know, like a lot of things in life, you got to just take every opportunity you can to speak. I mean, I've spoken literally in small settings and in bigger settings. I wish I could tell you like, hey, I've had an opportunity to speak like in front of like thousands of people, but I'm not there yet. You know what I mean? And I can't get desperate about like, yeah, I mean that's somewhere where I would like to go, eventually. But all of the smaller things will build on to help, eventually create that space where that will eventually happen. And not all of us necessarily have those opportunities to do that. So I think one thing I've learned along the way is like every experience teaches you something and helps to create and catapult even more experience, right? Uh, just like anything, it's a muscle you need to flex and that you need to practice doing public speaking. The more you grow comfortable in it, the better. The problem is, I wish more people felt comfortable into speaking into each other's lives in general, right? We as a society, Americans, we're like go-getters, we're very individualistic. But now, why is the coaching sphere, this coaching business growing? Because people are realizing the need to have somebody speak into your life. The need to have somebody say, hey, here's where you need to improve. And that's such a vulnerable thing, right? So you like want to find the right person to do that. So to answer your question, is something that I wish I had learned even earlier on, to seek out a mentor, to seek out a coach, to seek out somebody who's like, hey, help me get better, right? And of course, you want to find somebody who is where you want to be, right? Don't ask a guy who's running next to you. Ask somebody who's already there, like, hey, you got time to like mentor me, you got time to coach me. I wish somebody had told me that when I was like your age, that I should have I could have done that instead of thinking like I got it all figured out or I'm gonna figure it out because I'm a maverick and I can do this. No, no way. I mean, and so now that I'm a bit older and a little bit, more experienced, I'm thinking, well, I can help some younger guys, I can help some other people with what I learned and what I experienced to get there. So I think that's been a crucial thing. And then I've had an opportunity through work and different things to coach teams. So I've had a chance to be a coach myself and be a leader, in different kinds of businesses and seeing, okay, people need help in that sphere as well. They need help to know how to like maintain teams and speak into them, and motivate them to do what you're going to do. And of course, as you are helping them, you're helping yourself, right? You're reaching the goals that not only for the team, but that you need to strive for as well.
Yeah, man. I that really relates because I know me and you just like we haven't known each other long, but we align I would say values wise. And I was just talking to Andrew Lucas on the last episode, and we were talking about how we as entrepreneurs want to fix things, and we want to do it on our own, and like we kind of like separate ourselves from people, man. But I agree with you, like we were built for community. Like that's why Jesus built the church, right? We were
Right. Yeah.
be in community with people that love us, care about us, encourage us, sharpen us. Not they tell us what's real and what's not just what we want to hear, but what we need to hear, right? So
Sure.
very important to be a part of communities like that. So, what does it look like for me to work with you? If I said, "Hey, I'm ready to rock and roll," like what are we? Because here, just to back up a little bit,
Sure.
something else that Joe told me that day really changed my mindset on the speaking thing is that
Yeah.
once you get to where you can do what he's doing, the mastery part of it, like what you're doing, like you can have 6-figure days, like
Sure.
these conferences that these guys are putting on. Yes, there's a lot of prep that goes into them, but he was talking about like having 6-figure days, and I'm like, man, if I could
Yeah.
just two or three 6-figure days a year, that's a game changer, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's obviously like the end goal is to go somewhere, speak, and make a crap ton of money, right?
Yeah.
While encouraging and changing the direction of somebody's life. Like that's a part of it too. So what does it look like to work with you? How do we do that? If I said I'm ready to go today,
Yeah. And I want to say before I answer that, to address something you said a moment ago, is that not everybody is meant to be at the top of that game. I mean, I think we just have to be honest. Like, I'm no Tony Robbins, I'm not like at the top of the speaking game. Everybody has a game that there's like top guys, right? You got your guys in real estate. You're like, man, I'd love to be that guy, but that's like 1%, not that saying. So you can get there, but it's like, what's it going to cost? Like, are you willing to put in and sacrifice everything to get to that? And I think, first of all, it's like having some conversations is like, where do you really want to go? Is it just about the money, or is it about like, what are you trying to accomplish, right? Like bigger and better stages is not for everybody. Maybe you just need stages, that help you close your deals, that help you get your real estate, stuff. I see a lot of people in my business and the speaking business, they're desperate for bigger and better stages and to get out there more and get those 6-figure deals. But not everybody necessarily has the chops for that. I just want to be, clear and honest about that, right? It's just like any business. Like not everybody's meant to be a realtor. I've had some bad realtors and I've had some good realtors. I mean, there's a huge difference. So when you start working with me, I think we first start to have that conversation of laying out that purpose, laying out those goals. Before we even start talking about like, okay, what is it that needs to be corrected and what are some of the techniques and things that you need to get into? It's like, where do you want to go? Like, what is your speaking goal? How is that relating to like what you're trying to accomplish professionally and what you're trying to accomplish personally, and getting you there? And so my goal then would be to be like, okay, so now we're going to start. I got to see you speak. I got to have video of you speaking. I got to make you speak. I got to start getting you out of that comfort zone and start to kind of give you those, public speaking is not one of those things you're just going to be like passively doing. You have to do it. And I got to see you do it to know what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong in order to get better. So it's a process, however long that process may take, maybe anywhere from 1 month to 3 months, depending on where you are in your mastery and where you need to go. There are guys who probably, let's say maybe in your field, maybe they just need to give a presentation, right? And they're just nervous and they're like, I got this big presentation I need to give, man, I need some help. And there's other guys who are like, I love to be given, talks every month so I can sell my book on real estate. Okay, that's a completely different goal than the other guy, right? They take both completely different level of skills. Your buddy who went out there with the bright sneakers and is interacting people like that, that's a completely different goal and level of skill than somebody who at the end just needs to go, hey, go to my website and buy my book. Totally different, like night and day levels. So really would be first starting out and knowing how that is connected to the level of skill that you need, right? And level of goal that you're trying to attain. So we would work on that.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, what would you say to somebody who's thinking about like, man, I'd love to, I've done this, I've built this, like I built this real estate business. I'd really love to share it, and I think I can help other people. Like, where would be a good place to start? What kind of advice would you give those people that are just on the fence about it?
Yeah, it's first finding out, where's their level of comfort, right? Are they a writer more than a speaker? There's people out there who have amazing blogs, and they're probably bloggers because honestly, they're probably not that good at public speaking. And that's okay, but then there's others who are like, really, this venue, like we're doing right now, is completely revolutionized everything, right? Everybody can be a podcaster. Everybody can be a YouTuber. It takes very little to no money to start up and do it. If that's honestly your sincere desire is to help people, or like you want to get your message out, there shouldn't be anything stopping you other than the fact that you need to be a better polished speaker, right? It's easy. You get a nice microphone, get some nice, headphones or whatever you need to do, a video camera, get on YouTube or get on a podcast and go. But what you need is like, okay, now people are like terrified because they're looking at the microphone. They're like, well, what do I say? How do I get it across? you know, how do I not sound like an idiot? What I got to say. So that's where they probably need the help, is in getting that message across. But where to start? I mean, we're in a day and age where like it's totally revolutionary. Just start a Facebook group, right? Start a podcast, start a YouTube, start getting your message out there, and start to create that tribe that people will respond. I mean, I'm saying a lot of the things that our mentor Tom Kroll, tells us, right? I mean, it's not rocket science, but it needs some guidance, right? If you're going to do it right and want to achieve certain levels of results.
Yeah, absolutely. It's free too. Like, you don't have to pay a lot of money you don't have to pay any money to start a Facebook group, invite everybody, have some of your friends invite everybody, and start doing Facebook lives in it, right? And then when you got enough engagement, say, hey guys, I'm gonna be at, Kona Grill and on Bridge Street in, Huntsville, this Thursday. Who wants to join me? Like, it's all free. You can test this stuff out. If you like it, then you can keep moving forward with it and hone those skills and hire a coach to help you get there faster, and get you in front of more and more people, because it is a great business for people, for sure. So how can people get a hold of you to get the coaching?
Yeah, so just finished putting together a website. It's purposedriventalks.com, or they can reach me by email as well. It's JP Sierra at purposedriventalks.com, and I can pass that along to you to when this comes out to post as well. And so that's an easy way to get started. You just reach out, let's have a conversation. Let's see where you're at and where you want to go and how I can help. And if I can, great. But if I can't help you, then that's all right too, But that's what I'm looking to do, is help the people get to that next step.
Heck yeah, man. Well, hey, I really appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll probably do a couple more of these for sure. But thank you so much for being a part of it, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right. That was good. Sorry, I felt like I was all over the place, honestly. I hear people say that, and I'm like, no, it's fine. But I felt like I was all over the place.
No, it was good. It was good. I think we went from one thing to another. So, and it was important to tie in, what you do. So, I mean, that's going to keep your audience engaged, because they're looking to see how does this relate to real estate. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I may send you some of my content from the last conference and ask how I can pay you to tell me what I need to do differently this time.
Oh, no worries. I could definitely help with that. I mean, it's a spectrum, right? No one's going to jump from 1 to 10, but man, if you could go from 1 to 3, that makes a big difference. Yeah. Public speaking is, I wish I had said this, but it's a head game. It's a mental game. You're talking to an audience, but really who you're fighting is you. And so that's where the coaching is like so important, because it helps to, connect. I wish I had said that when we were talking.
The good thing is I'm still recording, and we could probably edit it in.
Yeah. Yeah. That getting that mental head game, why for example, why does a runner need a coach? You're just running, right? Because running is a mental game. So you need to nobody tell you, like, how do you overcome that mental game? I view public speaking very similarly. It's just you there on that stage. You're out there all by yourself. Mm-hmm. Man, that's terrifying to a lot of people, right? Not everybody is a natural seasoned speaker like me. Like that doesn't terrify me at all. Like, but I was built differently than other people. There's some people who have that in them, and others that need to be taught like how to overcome that. So that's where that becomes essential. I mean, in your guys's field, man, it's like so crowded, right? It's like there's so many realtors. Like setting yourself apart as that like published, not published, but polished, speaker who's getting across, who are like people are listening to. I mean, that elevates your game
Right.
because everybody's got a business card. Everybody's like, yeah, I'm a realtor and I, do this and this, but like doing like what you're doing, that starts to set you apart. You know what I mean?
100%, man, for sure. Well, hey, it was good talking to you. I'm sure we'll continue to stay connected, man, for sure.
Yeah. And when I eventually, get my podcast up and running, we'll swap and I'll have you on.
100%, man. 100%. Thank you so much, man.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey guys, I appreciate you listening. If you liked it, share it, like it, comment on it, whatever you can do, rate it. Whatever platform you're using, do whatever is best. And hey, if you're interested in how we do what we do, whether that's real estate, whether that's speaking, whatever it is, just go to ascendyoursuccess.com and let's have a conversation about it. And we'll see if you're a good fit for us, if we're a good fit for you, and we'll make it happen either way.